Hello there. You've learned a little bit about lettering and the history of lettering in this video already, and I want to show you how you can have a bit of fun and break some of the rules. They are very complicated, and you can go to university, you can study for many years to understand lettering, fonts and so on, but you can also enjoy being completely liberated by all the rules having changed with the arrival of being able to use computers and to really just be very free. So we're going to do a name. It can be your own, it can be somebody else's, and we are experimenting with lettering in a very freestyle sort of way. So I've done this very simple grid on squared paper, and I'm just going to do, okay. I'll do some curve shapes. Don't have to stay in the box. You can be very free about this. And while you're experimenting with this, you can have different styles, cursive styles, block styles, whatever you like. You can have very thin letters combined with fat ones. And the lettering is just a guide. So I've got S-A-L-L-Y. Not sure about this one. May have to rethink that one. But it's all right. It's pencil. Doesn't matter. And very oddly shaped one at the end. And then I would recommend a pair of colours and a fine liner and maybe a black as well. And then you can play with the negative shapes, that is the spaces around the letters. So I'm going to go in here and fill in, and you can be as neat, as precise as you like. For example, this could be the template for something you can then complete on good quality paper. This can be like a trial. This is quick. You don't have to take long over this. If you're thinking, I don't even know any letter shapes, you do. You are digital natives. You are very familiar with fonts and lettering styles, but you can also look at plenty of examples that might inspire you from using your devices or looking at references or just bringing in samples of things that you think are quite interesting. Because breaking the rules is how most logos are created. Right, so here's a sort of very rough type of introduction. You don't have to have capitals. You can have lowercase and uppercase letters. You might be interested to know where that name comes from. When things were created by hand, you took the capital letters from an upper drawer, which is known as the case, and you took the lowercase letters from the drawer underneath, so you know where the capitals and the lowercase letters were. And through the whole history of setting type by hand, you'd have to know which was which, and the skill involved was phenomenal. Let's see, let's do this one here. I think I might go for the fatter version. So it shouldn't take you very long just to experiment. Your own name, a friend's name, whatever you like. And this is where black comes in handy, because then you can, or any dark colour, you can then create a bit more contrast. So I'm going to fill in the middle of the A. I think there are two revolutions in communication to do with lettering and printing and fonts. The first is the arrival of printing presses and being able to freely look at information that previously was only available to the privileged few. I'm going to create a white outline here, because all books before then were written by hand, usually religious texts or classical literature, and had to be laboriously copied out, usually by monks in monasteries. There's a famous Bible that was the first to be set using movable type, the Gutenberg Bible, and printing was then brought to this country by a man called Caxton. And it's hard to imagine the freedom. Instead of being told what to believe, you could read it for yourself, providing you could read. And this is something you do every day. Imagine only being given the information somebody else thought you should have. Very difficult situation. And it meant that once those sort of boundaries were broken, you could find out information, you could share information, not all of it good. They had their own version of TikTok and so on, the broadsheets, the scandal sheets, etc. So I think I'm nearly there with the basic shape. And then if you wish, you can do a little bit of augmenting or embellishing. I like to switch to a fine liner, and I'm very fond of things like Japanese wave patterns, so I like to use versions of those in my lettering. Lettering, typography, huge debate. Calligraphy, what is calligraphy, what is lettering? Another huge debate. Don't worry about all of that. Just create something that you think you might like or another person might like, and so on. You could do more. You could, whatever you like, really. There are all sorts of techniques and all sorts of things you can do. And what we're aiming for is that you should feel confident to play around with all these ideas. If you don't like squared paper, you can create your own grid, which is what I've done there. And here I've got capital height, the X height, the lowercase letter, ascender space and descender space, which is how people create their own custom fonts. And you should be able to be confident enough to work towards something like this. Give it a go.